Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorraine County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Well, good morning, everyone. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting for March 27th, 2019. Our inspirational word: figure out what will please Christ and then do it. And we have our dog this morning.
Good morning. We have the sweetest dog ever. She is a pit mix. She's available today. Our budget director may take her as a present for her retirement. But this little baby has been like just loving on everybody this morning. She's very sweet. So we have 19 other dogs. If you're not in favor of this little guy, or yeah, it's a guy. If it's a girl, it's a girl. We can come down to our dog kennel, or you can come and check us out on Facebook. So thank you very much. Come on. Come on.
Aww.
Cute one there.
That was.
Yeah. Madam Clerk,
Under resolutions, we have no investments, appropriations.
so move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Transfers.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Travel.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Bills.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorraine County Commissioners.
County Administrator Jim Cordez, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner. I do have a number of personnel issues, potential hires. Let me just take a look at the sheet here. Possibly Job and Family Services, Community Development, IT. Just a couple apps I want to talk about. Also, if time permits, I'm in receipt of a completed labor agreement with the Crooker Courts and United Steelworkers of America I'd like to go over, and an update on the ongoing negotiations with the United Auto Workers and the Children's Services employees. Plus, we're still working on that doggone sale of real estate. So if we have a chance to talk about that, as you know, I have to leave a little early today. So all of those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Act for executive sessions discussions. I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, we retire into executive session and talk about those items that I've mentioned. Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of March 20th.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Community Development, amend Resolution 16531 adopted August 24, 2016, approving a contract with Coldwater Consulting LLC, Galena, to provide consulting services for Lake Avenue Stream Restoration Project. The amendment reflects a higher complexity project in the amount of $66,330 and will be paid from the stormwater account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Do you want to comment on what additional work's going to be done over there?
Well, I can. Don's here, I think, this
Don?
morning.
Oh.
So he and I talked about it. You know, sometimes these things are a little bit more than they appear in the beginning. We're still well within our constraints of cost, but I'll let him talk to this one. I'll grab the next one. Don will tag team if you want.
Okay.
Good morning, Board, and thank you. The original project at Lake Avenue, as you may recall, was originally going to be a stormwater detention basin. We were going to put a hole in the ground. Unfortunately, that had progressed, and we actually went with a stream restoration project to create stormwater detention as well as additional ecological benefit. As this project was originally proposed and we entered into contract, what was originally going to be a 3-page design went up to 7, and we thought, okay, this is a fairly complex design. As they went in and did their surveying and began to put together the construction documents, we went from 7-page of engineered drawings to 30 pages. And so that really impacted our budget severely. Now, we've been working with them, and we've applied a little bit of effort as well on our part for construction supervision, but we do need to begin to move and take care of a good and contractor that's been working with us, and the amount of work just was simply more. Some of the things that they encountered that increased the complexity were just east of Lake Avenue, you have that fall off. We ended up having to design around bedrock was closer to the surface than was originally determined. Even after we did our surveying and our test plots to figure out, we still encountered bumps in the bedrock where it rose a little bit that continue to work around. The project itself, the plans were so well that we've really only encountered on a 20-acre, 900 lineal foot stream restoration project 2 small change orders from the construction side, and that was because of excessively wet soil that could not be used, and so that had to be moved. And then there was some topsoil that also had to be removed from the site, and then we were able to non-perform. So it really was, I think we benefited from having extremely detailed and accurate plans, but that cost of the engineering, the amount of engineering that went in was substantially higher than anyone initially anticipated. And that project is still $40,000 under budget.
We spread the spoils over there on the, want to talk a little bit about how we use the additional spoils?
The land bank, or Land Reutilization Corp, actually acquired a tax delinquent parcel that fronts this on Lake Avenue. It's the yellow house that has been an eyesore for decades.
There's no more.
And they were able to acquire the parcel and demolish it. We're actually using those parcels. There were a total of 5 parcels that we're acquiring, and on the back of that is where we're now spreading that excess dirt, and then we'll be seeding that so it'll green up and be grass again.
So while the cost went up here, we would have needed fill on that job. And if you thought the house looked bad in the front, you should have got behind it with the old campers and boats and tire dump and everything else that was back behind you. You couldn't see from the road because of the growth behind the building. It's in the works. I don't think it's all gone. The last time I was over there was about 2 weeks ago. They still had a lot of material to take out. But all of the material removed from the restoration is being used first as fill there, and then if we need additional, we'll have to get that. So it didn't go to waste, and it would have had to be purchased anyway. And then we took out a culvert, didn't we?
Yes, we took out an old rusted culvert that kind of got uncovered as we removed brush. And in place of that culvert, then we were placing rock to secure and prevent erosion from occurring that would take out part of the wetland that was being constructed nearby.
And then we're going to gate that front area there, working with the land bank, obtaining the parcel, and then using the material for fill to decrease the demolition cost. Also allowed us to have that easier access on that road along the easement with the railroad track, so we can get back there and monitor the site more fully. I remember when Don was trying to get back there when we first started this project in the winter, in the mud and everything else, and so it's going to be pretty nice back there.
I guess you could also point out about how this is going to benefit the area of Sheffield Township that used to have just horrible flooding. When people hear all these things, they're thinking, well, we're back in the woods just digging up, and they don't really understand what the big benefit is.
It's not only going to,
Right.
it's going to assist 3 communities. A little bit in Elyria Township,
Right.
because the parcel is in Elyria Township, and then it'll decrease the amount of water, how fast the water is going into Sheffield Township down by the fire. Their fire station and City Hall that has been known to be under a little bit of water
Right.
in the past, and also all the way down to the 36th Street
36th
ditch
Street
off of Clinton down there. And when we finished the last piece next to the Board of Election, which was another joint project with the land bank, obtaining basically looked like a big crater next to Gorgas between the Board of Elections and Gorgas. Well, that was a for lack of another term, it was just a channeled part of the ditch. It never been swelled properly. It was deep. It was channeled. It really wasn't doing much to decrease the velocity of the water, hold back water. That project's ongoing right now.
Groundbreaking with the contractor is scheduled for April 1st, so Monday.
So that's going to be widened. I think they're maybe deepening it a little
And
bit.
deepened, and it's going to have, for lack of a better term, kind of a toe. So at the northern part of the property, because that property is shaped a little bit like a C. And so we're maximizing the use of the property that the land bank acquired to maximize our stormwater detention. And this is also on the same ditch, the Clinton Avenue ditch. So between these two projects, we should greatly reduce the incidence and severity of the flooding. And what was really unique about the design going back to the Lake Avenue was they have designed it so that the wetlands and the detention doesn't activate until a 5-year storm, but then it's able to hold back that water all the way through a 100-year storm, which is really unheard of, is to be able to hold back that much water for those type of storms. Typically, design levels are for the 20-year event, and if you're getting aggressive, you go to a 30-year, but we were able to get to a 100-year.
Yeah, two things here. The flooding in that area has been a problem, from my knowledge, at least the last 30 years that I've known about it. And that ditch actually goes under the road and crosses over behind St. Lad's picnic facility back there, which would actually, you would have a lake of grass back there because the water would just sit right on top. We're hoping that when the project's done, that we've solved 2 of the problems in the township and assisted the city with the amount of water flowing through there. That's going to dry out that area going into the 36th Street ditch, which
Always
will,
been a problem.
right, I mean, there's some homes back there they had to actually take down because they were constantly flooded. Do you recall those?
I don't know if they actually had taken them down, but that was the recommendation on their engineering study,
Okay.
was that it was probably more cost-effective for the city of Lorraine to handle flooding in that area by acquiring and demoing rather than improving the drainage in the area.
Are we still doing the spillover on the easement bridge? Is that how we're going to handle that?
Yes.
So there's a road behind the Board of Election that goes into Gorgas Hall. Now, it's not really for Gorgas, it's an easement road that goes all the way back into the Rowland property on the other side of Gorgas, because we were going to try to vacate that easement, but then we realized, because Gorgas, there was another entrance and exit coming off of 254.
Correct.
But there's no other way to get to the Rowland property in the back because it's backland. So we weren't able to vacate that, which we would have preferred, and then we could have channeled right through that. So what's going to happen is when the waters get extremely high there's going to be spillover right over that road. It's going to be designed such that it will top over and continue. So a lot going on with that. And needless to say, we brought back how much federal money to assist us with this project?
On Lake Avenue, we've gotten $295,000, plus we've been able to use some of the GLRI for the planting, so we're probably close to about $350,000 to go towards that.
Nice.
And that's in addition to all of the other work we've been doing in Eaton Township on Willow Creek, Fortune Ditch, at Margaret Peak Preserve, and then we're continuing to identify other potential opportunities.
Yeah, for anybody who's ever been through there when there's bad rain, I mean, the flooding is really bad, and I know Sheffield Township's very appreciative. I always tell the story of the meeting I was in across the street from the Board of Elections, and somebody came flying in the building, screaming and yelling, everybody's got to move their cars, and literally, when I went out to my car, the water was just at the crease of the bottom of the door, ready to come into the car, and everybody got out of there right away, and it just happened so fast. And so this is certainly going to help alleviate a problem, especially when you got your safety forces over there in Sheffield Township. You don't want to have any problems over there.
I think this all started with Bill knocking over a beaver dam, didn't it?
Actually,
Yes.
part of my research showed that KEM and the county engineer were looking at this back in the 90s, having a detention basin in that area as part of a county-wide process. And with the Stormwater District, we were actually able to kind of pick up on a little bit of that research and address it, having some resources and a little ingenuity to actually implement something.
Yeah, it was kind of a joke back then, but Holtzman used to go back there. There was a big family of beavers back then. They would occasionally dam that back there, and then it would get more flooding in Elyria Township. So, but every time he,
Oh, yeah.
opened up the beaver dam when it rained, it caused a little bit more flooding over in Sheffield Township. So there's a little thing going on with Holtzman and the beaver dam there and the trustees. But we like to
That's
joke
right.
that if you would have left the beavers alone, we never would have gotten this project, so. But
Well,
it's
and then
been,
the synergies with the land bank too. having
absolutely,
that-
all the
yeah,
leveraging
yeah.
that's been going on.
Yeah.
Well, recognizing that 7 years ago, we weren't doing these type of projects. And more we're looking for opportunity. You're looking at another parcel now we talked about, right? Isn't there, or was that conservation land? I couldn't remember.
Well, from a stormwater perspective, we are looking at a water resource restoration sponsorship program that would include some enhancements, but also conservation. And there's several areas throughout the county we've looked at. In addition, from a housing and neighborhood stabilization perspective, we just worked with the Port Authority and Land Bank on a property in Lorraine that we're hopeful.
The stormwater is only going to become a more important issue in Lorraine County as more of the rural areas become urbanized. It's not going to diminish at all, while building requirements, especially in the last 10 years, for on-site retention and detention have increased, and nobody's allowed to just go in and build a subdivision like they used to and worry where the water was going to go where, and they didn't think about it much. That's why you have a lot of subdivisions around Lorraine County that have flooding problems. And it's not just in the more rural areas. There's a lot of subdivisions in the municipalities that have extremely big problems with flooding during a 20 or a 25-year event. Normally, they're okay for the 1 to 5, maybe even a 10, but after that, most of them are not designed to standards to move that much water. And adding to that problem is pushing more water north.
Yeah.
And the age of the infrastructure in the cities too, or it's getting old and
Correct.
having problems.
So we're keenly aware of the need to manage those projects more completely than they had been in the past. The developers are becoming more frustrated because they need more set-aside acreage to retain. You're seeing, as you pass a lot of these newer subdivisions, you're seeing a lot more ponds, a lot more aeration, and of course, but when you have a 25 or 50-year event, even those systems are not designed to hold back that much
Correct.
water, which we saw out at the mobile home park that time with the ditch there.
Lakes.
They had ponds there, but when the rain came severely, it overran their on-site system completely. So you're going to see more and more of this stuff.
Thanks,
Mr.
Tom.
Lund-
Thanks, Tim.
Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Thank you.
Approve change order number 1 to Mark Haynes Construction, Inc., Norwalk, in the amount of $64,705.50 for the Fortune Ditch Stream Restoration Project for surveying, grading, and excavating, stripping and installing rock and erosion control fabric. Total contract is $270,282.34 to be paid from the stormwater account. Authorized administrator to execute on behalf of the Board of Prosecutors or Provost Department.
So move.
Second?
Discussion.
Well, we had a little problem on this project. Only about a foot of a problem. That doesn't sound very big, does it? 12 inches, not really. Well, when they shot the elevations through the ditch, the elevations were off about a foot. So when they go to do the project and you start to remove and dip and all the things you got to do, a foot is massive on a fall through ditch. Recognizing that when the contractors were there, they understood that we weren't getting the fall we needed. They had we reshot, right?
Correct.
And there was more work that needed to be done. Now, even if the right elevations were done in the beginning, we still would have had to do more work. We still would have had to do this work. It's just a little more frustrating to be doing it in the middle of the project. But the chute was off, and it does happen occasionally. It's rare, but it does happen. Normally, it's only 3 or 4 inches, but this was close to a foot, right?
Correct.
And water doesn't flow uphill, so you gotta get that elevation correct so that you put the right fall on the ditch so the water keeps moving. So we had to remove a lot more product than was originally estimated, but we're still well under budget on this project too. Now we know why the bids came in
A little low.
a little lower than we had anticipated. So we're not over budget on this project as of yet. Hopefully that this will be it.
Good. Gotta do it right.
Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Amendment Resolution 18300 adopted May 2nd, 2018, awarding contract to Polis and Schmidt Design Group, Inc. to provide professional architectural and engineering services for the design, construction plans, and drawing, bid specs, bid tabulations, cost estimates, project inspection, and construction administration for the CDBG-funded Joyce Hanks Community Center Addition project in Sheffield Lake. Amendment will reflect payments to be made from a 2-year CDBG Program Year 17 grant and authorize administrator to execute on behalf of Board of Prosecutors' approval as to form.
So move.
Second?
Discussion.
Don, the 17 funds, when do we have to exhaust those? We're pushing time here, aren't we?
August 30th of this year, 2019.
We're going to make it?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, this is a correction. When we originally set up the contract, it expired on December 31st, so this is more
Housekeeping?
housekeeping than anything. The building is slated to be completed. I believe the last update I had from Pat Hastings and Drake, Pat is with Sheffield Lake, is that it should be done by June 1st.
It's well underway.
It is well underway.
I
Just
drove
wanna
by a
make sure
couple times.
we make the deadline. They're pretty prickly about these things down at the state, getting those timeframes met, so I don't want to lose any money here. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lundey.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Job and Family approve and enter into 4D purchase service contract with CSEA and Prosecutors Domestic Relations Juvenile Division effective retroactive January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019. Authorized director to execute on behalf of Board of Prosecutors' approval as to form. Prosecutor's Office totals $952,066.65. Domestic Relations Magistrate totals $460,037.36, and Domestic Juvenile is $474,716.76.
So move.
Second?
Discussion.
You want to look at this just a little bit?
Sure.
Because as a refresher, we used to have to contribute quite a bit of general fund monies to support the Title D. I will say that last year, after working with Bob Tamas, we were able to supply 100% of the local match. So that non-federal matching funds number was substantially increased last year, which took a burden off of us for a little while, and we're able to do that again this year. But that's not going to continue in perpetuity. So I don't want to get us too used to seeing that we're not having to use general fund money there and then waking up one day and going, what happened? We used to pay about 66% of that number out of the general fund. It
On
varied.
top of our allocation that we're required to do?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So while there was some funding that we could get from the CSEA and use, that's not going to continue. And I explained that to you last year. I'm only reminding you this year. we'll look at it again next year, see what can be supplied, but those funds don't replenish very quickly. So as we draw them down, we'll have to look at a level where it's safe for the agency to be able to provide additional support to the general fund. And there's always been some there, but we moved the needle to give some relief, but it's coming to an end.
Look for new ways to rob Peter to pay Paul, right?
I will always find ways to leverage dollars wherever we can.
That's well done.
I want to thank our partners over there, too. It's not simply myself or you. We need people working with us and letting us know how we can put things together and come up with a solution that gets us more leverage and more extended use of the limited resources we have. But this one's going to end, so just keep that in mind. It's going to be good for this year. We'll get it next year, and then we'll have more conversation. But I just thought it was a good time to remind us.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Children's Services authorize various personnel to utilize the agency's MasterCard for the year 2019, not to exceed $2,500 for permissible expenses in accordance with the policy.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Probate Create Fund 2870 Guardianship Service Fund. This is to accept funds, fees for establishment and operations Lorraine County Guardianship Services Board in accordance with the ORC 2111.52, House Bill 595.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Do you want to do-
Yeah, we'll do the proclamation at this point. Emmy, if you could come forward to one of the podiums there. We have a special proclamation for you, and sorry to keep you waiting this morning. I know you're a busy man, but I think we also have some cake and coffee for later, right? So, we just, as a board, want to express our appreciation and best wishes to you on your retirement from the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners. We are recognizing you today for your 10 years of service to Lorraine County, beginning back on March 2nd, 2014, with Lorraine County Adult Probation at the time. You then transferred over to the Board of Commissioners April 23rd of 2011. You grew up in Manila, Philippines, married to Chris, and you have 2 grown children and 2 beautiful grandchildren. Congratulations, that's very cool. And something that some folks may not know about Emmy, he's the founder of his own martial arts class, and he's been practicing martial arts for over 40 years. He's a Grandmaster black belt. So we need to walk through a dark alley at night.
Taking Emmy with us.
Give Emmy, Emmy's going with me. Be bodies scattered all over the place, but he's going with me. You're just very caring, very cooperative, a dependable worker, a very untiring efforts and dedication to your position and to your fellow workers. You've also been involved with supporting Operation Medicine Cabinet and the U.S. Marshal Service. The Board of Commissioners, we want to express our appreciation to you in this proclamation for the faithful, conscientious, and rewarding service that you've given to the County of Lorraine and its citizens. We wish you and your family the best of happiness, peace, and good health to be enjoyed throughout your retirement, and continue to cook and serve your excellent Filipino food. You enjoy cooking the food?
You could always
Yeah, you
bring it
could have
up
brought
to
us
you
some
live.
samples.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
time now.
So, yeah.
Bring them on.
But, so we'd like to come down there and present this to you and then have you say a few words. Unless you'd say a few words now. I'm sorry, I'm probably getting ahead of myself. Go ahead, say a few words.
I would,
So, yeah.
I would like to first and foremost thank all the commissioners and including Mr. Cordes for the continued support of the Crime Lab, and I know the person who will be replacing me, whom I trained and hired fresh out of college, will continue what I have started. She's ready, and she knows that she can still call me when my availability dictates. Again, I also would like to thank the supporting departments that and department heads who helped me manage the laboratory. It was everything that I did was for the county, and I did my best. That's all I can say at this time. And the person who will be replacing me is Miss Elizabeth Doyle, who is with me. And you're going to be in good hands. Thank you.
We always like to, if you could just say a few words about how alarming our epidemic is here in the county and how you see different drugs coming through here all the time. I just think it's always important to educate the public about how severe the issue is and the dangers that we're seeing every day.
Every time I go to the parking deck or people who knew me, whether it's neighbors, friends, they always ask me, how are you guys keeping up with all of these problems? Well, first of all, we are focused on what we do. Once in a while, you get emotional about what we do because we know who those people who overdosed, fatally overdosed. And different walks of life. Many of them, and some of them I know. I live in Amherst, and about 20, 25 years ago, they said, there's no drugs in Amherst. Certainly the drugs now is really overwhelming in a way where you can't point your fingers as to really what the problem is. As I have mentioned before, what kills people is what they don't know. You buy heroin, you don't get heroin. You're going to get more. People who tries to get away from it, we surely go back. We surely go back. And it's just, there's too many of those drugs. The opioids, the narcotic painkillers started in 2010, 11, and 12. The spice showed up, and then the heroin showed up, the fentanyl epidemic showed up, and now we are seeing the continued increase of methamphetamine. I just want to quickly say why methamphetamine. In 2016, we had about 31 identified methamphetamine. In 2017, it's about 37. 2018, we have 96.
Deaths?
We have 96
Deaths?
identified methamphetamine.
Oh.
Just methamphetamine.
Oh.
So those are the things that we are dealing right now. And who knows what else is going to surface as far as the drugs. But we're keeping up.
Yeah.
We're keeping up. We know the priorities. We know the priorities. And also, because of the HITA, the high intensity drug trafficking area, and also the SOS, and because all of these projects are all partnered with the federal agencies, we're also getting a lot of cases from the federal FBI and also the DEA. And many of those county cases are now bound over to federal cases. So therefore, we pretty much have to testify and go to the federal building. Elizabeth have done that, one in Akron and one Summit County, and I believe 2 or 3 at the federal building in Cleveland. So the more we testify, the more we pull that person to analyze of this test. But we're keeping up with the backlog. We probably have at least 4 weeks backlog at this time. When it started in 2010 or 2012, we have about 6 to 2 months backlog. And because of the skills and the help, the assistance from the staff from the laboratory, we are able to narrow down to 2 to 4 weeks. Many of them right now is 2 weeks.
Well, we want to thank you for your leadership at the Crime Lab, and I just think it's always important for the community to hear from people who are on the front lines, because, you know, people see the stories in the paper, but they still don't understand the day in and day out the severity of the epidemic and the issue in the county, and to see it on the front lines every day and deal with it emotionally, as you said, knowing people and families that have been impacted by it. It's important to hear it directly from you. So, but we appreciate your dedication and service, and we're going to come down and take a picture with you and give you your proclamation. Yeah, and there is cake, so we don't want you leaving early. We'll make sure you get some cake, take some cake home to the grandkids too, so. But, so, thank you very much. Next.
Public comment.
Okay, public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board this morning? This is the public comment period.
Ma'am, did you want to
Miss, did you want to address the board? Yeah, just come up to one of the podiums and then you'll give us your name and where you live. Good morning.
Good morning.
Take your time. We're in no hurry.
Except those who want cake.
Yeah, right.
My name is Qiumin Ji, Qiumin, last name Ji. I live in A.B. Wood, the senior living community. I want to share some extremely important information with the local government. I am an author. My book is in the processing of being published. The book title is called Urgent Concern on Depopulation. How do I know? This is what I try to explain. Mankind has been controlled by Earth invader, satanic Earth invader, AI, artificial intelligence, for depopulation purpose. For years, a mile-long human body has been observed by scientists. They discuss where it's coming from, why it's there. But today, all questions has to be answered. That is the invaders' human body system in the space. The human body is called human body electronic controller identifier for control the Earth's inhabitants. That body is my body. Has been there for many years. For 10 years, I have been doing research. I have been doing study. I realize I am a system. I see many documents. Through those, I understand the system contained over 80 subsystems networkings. Control the internet. My image control data. So I am the only human being on Earth who can see invaders' system and see documents. So now I am trying to disclose those information to the Earth inhabitants. What has been happening? There's many problems, social problems, but they are all basically related with AI control. So I summarized the invaders' 3 steps to depopulate the Earth. The first step, invaders substrate a human body in space as an AI, artificial intelligence, to control Earth inhabitants through weaponized internet. Second step, clone my being. And cloned my being to install all the stolen Microsoft documents and put my clone on the high above in the space, actually inside the universe, to control their system, the stolen system. My clone is equipped with GE electrical, General Electrical, and huge broadcasting equipment. And then the third step, which is the last step, they are ready because they already have their control. Then to kill the ground AI, and then to paralyze Microsoft. I am being configured as a Microsoft proxy. So Microsoft may not know that their internet authentic setting has been stolen. So because of this, if they kill me, Microsoft will be suddenly shutting down. And we will have no internet, no communication, no legal society, no government. The government being paralyzed because of the internet. So then the depopulation, the massive depopulation can get started.
Miss, just so you're aware, we do have a 3-minute time
Okay.
limit, so if you could summarize, please.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So I will be out of here very shortly. So Invader has been all those years, they are ready, they want to kill the ground AI, and I have been battling because I know on my shoulder there is billions lives on my shoulders. So I am God-embedded child on the earth to reveal the truth. My first book, Urgent Discern on Depopulation, is about to warn the Earth inhabitants what's happening. But however, that first book is only a start, a statement. There's more books of evidence materials have to come up and to illustrate what has been happening. So I am sharing this information because today the evil definitely do not want me to get book published, and I do feel the urgency to tell what's going on. So I am battling the invading system and control and kill, and meanwhile I feel I should share with the local with the local. While I'm still trying to get my second or third organized, analyzed, and published. So if our local government would like to know what's really happening, I can have a separate meeting, and you can arrange sometimes. I can give that basic statement or evidence materials to discuss. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
I have a draft of the manuscripts based on Urgent Discern. If you like, I can give to you.
That's a copy.
Uh,
We don't want an original, but if you want to eventually make a copy and drop it off at the office, that would be fine.
No, this is, you can make copies circle around, but this is just as original or as a copy.
Okay.
Okay,
You'll
give
just
it to
hand
the
that to the clerk. And is your, do we have your contact information so we know where to get everything to you?
Yes, I actually,
Okay.
when I sign in,
Okay.
I put my contact information at A.B. Wood
Okay.
221. A.B. Wood resident.
Yes.
They know.
Okay, very good.
So if you need me to share more, ask me questions, I will be very happy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Any others willing to make public comment this morning? Seeing none, commissioners' reports? Is that where we're at? Or-
You don't want Mr.
I'm sorry.
Cordes?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I should have looked back at the agenda there. So,
It threw me off. I was prepared
yeah,
to sing.
I
and,
know.
tell a joke.
exactly.
You know, now
Sorry
it's
about
just-
that. Yeah,
the
the
moment
administrator's
passed. I'm
report.
sorry. It's done.
We
It's
missed
gone.
it.
I don't have anything additional this morning. I yield to council. Thank you. Wait, I do have one thing. Unless you're going to talk about Restaurant Week, somebody's going to report and remind people. It does run through the weekend, so I'll wait for you guys, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Now commissioners report.
Jerry.
What about Jerry? Come on, you guys. I'm still training
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I do have one matter of pending litigation to discuss in executive session, and I also would like to extend my personal and professional thanks to Emmy. We've worked together for a long time, and there's two words I use to describe Emmy, and the first one is knowledgeable.
Yeah.
The man's knowledge is just incredible, and I thank you for your patience, Emmy, because whenever we talk about something, I mean, he is so far advanced in what he's trying to explain to me, I always have to ask him 2 or 3 times, go over that again, Emmy, so I can understand it. But he just has an incredible knowledge. But the second thing is he is passionate. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who is passionate about his work. Now, if you know Emmy, he's passionate about everything, you know, especially his grandchildren. But yeah, the man he's just not somebody that comes in and goes through the motions. He just feels for his work, and he feels for the people that he deals with. And I'm going to miss you, Emmy, and good luck. So.
Yeah. Now it's Commissioner.
Okay.
Okay, well, Commissioner Sweet and I had a chance to do something fun after last week's meeting. We got to pick the artwork that was submitted for our Pride Day T-shirt contest. We had a lot of great submissions, so it was a difficult choice, but we picked one. The calendar contest is a little bit more challenging, so I hope I can count on Commissioner Sweet to help me out with that one too. That's a lot more fun. We pick a lot more.
We had fun with
yes.
these.
So, and also she's agreed to sit in my spot as a chair of the Keep Lorraine County Beautiful Board, since all of my meetings I have set for the year conflict with my meetings down in Columbus with the CCAO, so I thank you for that.
And I think I got the fun job.
You did, you did. Thursday, we had our land bank meeting, and after that, we all attended the second annual Black River Summit at the Antlers. Very informative, a little long. You got to do a little welcome, so it was a nice event. A lot of stuff going on at the Antlers these days, so it's a nice venue there. Friday morning, we had a CCO lobbying task force conference call, and unfortunately, I learned that our Marks radio system that we have in Lorraine County is going to be 100% our responsibility. It's $20 per month per radio that the state was splitting the cost with us on until now. So I hurried up and emailed Mr. Cordes to let him know right away what was going on, and lo and behold, he already knew all about it and was working on it with our first responders. So, like you said, another unfunded mandate for us.
This one's tough.
How many radios do we have times 20 now?
I can't even begin to tell you. I do have on my desk, in that very well sorted mess that you see every day, the report. We were well ahead of this game. I talked to you about the problem with Marks and my anticipation of these things about 8 or 9 months ago. We probably didn't use the word Marks enough when that came out, but it wasn't just I that was in front of it. The Board of Commissioners was in front of it. We authorized and paid for a survey of all the radio equipment in Lorraine County used by our safety forces, both police and fire and EMS, to take a look at the state of that equipment, not only for the local issues, but also because we understood that Marks was experiencing some difficulty, and then funding was going to become a problem with it, because it needs a tremendous amount of influx of cash to upgrade it. So if I can bore everybody for just a few seconds here to explain what Marks is, we're talking in terms that probably most people that are going to hear this don't recognize. The Marks radio system is a system of towers located strategically all over the state, and it allows communications from radios to go a long distance. Normally, if you're in a vehicle, you have a range of X depending on the power of the radio you're using to get back to the antenna you're signaling to, say at the police station. So let's go back to the 30s and 40s, and that was very limited. So over the decades, what they developed with these towers is you have a Marks radio. When it's turned on, it'll hunt for a local tower. The signal hits that tower, and it's telling it where it wants to go. So it'll bang off that tower to another one, and theoretically, you could leave Lorraine and drive all the way to Columbus and not lose radio contact with the Lorraine Police Station if you wanted to. A couple issues over the years have come up with that is that people don't turn off their Marks radio, so they're driving through different jurisdictions, and the radio hunts each time it goes in to pick up a new Marks channel, and the Marks channels are very limited, how many there are. So there's been a big push to try to get responders not to have the Marks radios on unless they're in an area that they're operating on, and then to cease radio traffic when they can, so that frees channels on the Marks system for other emergency situations. They've had some success with that. It's all about training and so forth. But if somebody wants to stay in touch and they're driving away down the highway, they just keep picking up Marks channels all the way down the highway and clogging the system. That system hasn't been greatly updated in a long time and expanded. As we know, everything's growing, but the system hasn't since it was installed. And it was always understood to be a responsibility of the state. They took on that project, but they no longer seem to have the appetite to support that. Now, how important is Mark's radios to us? Well, we use that even locally to move channel traffic when our own systems locally doesn't provide for that. That's why we looked at that study. We not only looked at the equipment, but we also looked at towers. We looked at how far the equipment could go. We looked at interoperability of the equipment. So there's a lot of information in that study. I've just now began to go through it. It took about 9 months to get it done. Recall, it was late last spring when I asked you to do this. So I don't know how that figures into it, but I know the one thing we're going to have to wrestle with in Lorraine County is eventually having our own mini MARC system to protect our people here in Lorraine County. And hence I told you 3 years ago, one of the projects we need to do over the next several years was ring the county with towers that we could have for all of the safety forces in Lorraine County so that they could work together more fully. And we needed to work on the problem with interoperability of the technology that we're experiencing. We have had some success through the leadership of the board with software, although, as I told you last week, we still occasionally have some problems with that New World software, GPS, Reverse 911. I'm pleased to tell you we just got another jurisdiction onto our alert system. They went from paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $13,000 to paying about $400. But I continually applied pressure to that issue. But when I told the responders that you could buy new equipment with this money if you get on our system, go deal with this, the internal pressure became great, and the decisions were made to come onto our system. It's all about economics. So this is another area, I believe, as we all come together with police, fire, EMS, and I love working with those guys, that we need to leverage solutions because nobody's going to be able to do it by themselves. This is going to break some of the locals. It may not sound like a lot of money, but figure out how many radios may be operating.
Times 20 times, yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Times $20. See, I remember you talking about the issues with the marks. I just didn't realize the state wasn't going to participate in the funding of.
I don't know if it's completely dead. I don't know if this is not participating at all. I don't know if there's a back end that they're still going to do. It's not a surprise, but it's new.
Mm-hmm.
And so how it filters out, we need to look at some more. But this is on the heels of what I explained to you about the sad state of the backbone for our 911 services in all the communities, not just here. While the state has push communities to consolidate PSAPs, develop next generation equipment, do the upgrading, and they've done a fairly nice job through the 911 commission committee that they have. What they failed to do, though, is recognize that even the newest equipment, it doesn't matter if you're riding on Baldy tires. So you get a brand new car and you ride out there and they gave it to you and now you got to put Baldy tires on it and hope to get somewhere because the backbone that's provided by the service providers has not been updated sufficiently to support, truly support all of the next generation equipment. Now, do you get more capability from the new equipment? Absolutely. Is it better for doing things like text messaging and things like? Absolutely. But it's still vulnerable because the backbone hasn't been updated in some cases 20 or 30 years by what we used to call the telephone providers when we knew telephone companies. The question there is why, and the why is because they used to get and they still do get a small fee from landlines, but as we know, landlines have been reduced by about 80% or more. So the amount of money coming in is such that they have, first of all, they didn't invest it when they had it. Second of all, now it's not sufficient to pay for that equipment. And lastly, the consolidation of the telephone industry is left at kind of in flux. For clarification for folks, who provides that backbone by Ohio Revised Code, the provider in the county seat is responsible for providing the backbone in that community for the 911 system. And I will tell you, most communities are at significant risk because there's been no attention to that.
Now, is it just a matter of the equipment failing, or are we not able to use the full potential of our equipment because of their equipment?
We're getting a lot of capability. We
But
have
not as much as we
substantial.
could?
I'm more worried about
It failing?
vulnerabilities and
Okay.
failing than I am capabilities. For various reasons, I don't want to go too far into that conversation. But I will tell you that the equipment that we found obsolete ourselves
Is what
is
they're
still
using.
some of the equipment that they're operating on. And so I will tell you strategically, I'm offering Windstream to take our old equipment that we don't use anymore so they can back up some of their equipment because it's still working. And there's getting backup for that old equipment is almost impossible, as we well know.
Right.
So I'm working, trying to get Windstream to understand the vulnerabilities that are being experienced. And it's not just our community. I don't want to mislead you that this is our own problem. But the state needs to address this problem. We do not have the ability to address this problem. It has to be addressed at a higher level. So we're having that conversation too. But it's much like the MARC system with regard to radio traffic, especially if you're in a mutual aid situation and you have mutual aids coming from far away and they need to be able to communicate with where they're going and vice versa. So I'll be providing you with that study in a few weeks, and we need to sit down and digest it. We need to have meetings. I will tell you it's a very, very costly problem, very costly. But thankfully, we're recognize it early on to be working towards at least the knowledge of where we need to go, and then we have to work on a, obviously, funding solution for that.
Okay, thank you for that. Monday morning, I had a NRAC meeting, that's Natural Resource Assistance Council at the Lorraine County Metro Parks Visitors Bureau. We had to review a project that we had pushed forward, but the OPWC kicked it back to us due to the fact that the seller decided of the property wanting to retain additional acreage and did not reduce the sale price. So that was an interesting conversation, something that we had never came before us before. So we had a lot of dialogue on that. Tuesday, all of us attended Judge John Maraldi's Recovery Court graduation. They have now had 30 people graduate from the program so far. 2 people graduated yesterday with over 400 days of sobriety. They're all working full-time, have reunited with their families. The father of the girl who graduated spoke up and said how thankful he is for the program. He truly thought he was going to have to bury his daughter, and he was so distraught that he contemplated taking his own life at one point. So the judge and his team, they do a fantastic job, and I am so proud of all of them and what they do, and for the participants in the program. And then mark your calendars for April 6th. The Rock for Water at 7 o'clock at the Lorraine Palace, downtown Lorraine, is going to happen. I had the opportunity last year to be a judge of that, and it was a lot of fun. It's a fashion show in which all of the outfits are made out of recycled material. Tickets are $17 pre-sale or $20 at the door. Get tickets through the Palace or at David Anthony Salon. Proceeds to that go to the Black River Cleanup and the Sierra Club. And this year, the Firefish are going to have an after party at 10 o'clock at the Antlers, which we've been talking about. Antlers Ballroom. Tickets for that are $10, and they're going to have DJ, dancing, and appetizers, and a cash bar. So, a lot of good stuff happening. End of my report.
Okay. Yep, we held the land bank meeting this week, and we continue to find ways to improve neighborhoods in our communities through the land bank. I know folks in downtown Lorraine were excited about the Carhart building coming down.
Kind of nice, wasn't it?
and-
Haven't been down there. It's
Yeah, it looks much
much
better. Much better. I understand, I guess the dumpsters have been delivered this morning to Vermillion, near the Vermillion River area, to help with that cleanup. Maybe you want to elaborate
Sure.
a little bit more.
You know, we some time ago, let's see, 4 or 5 years ago, put some money aside in the solid waste funds to be able to assist communities that have experienced somewhat of a natural disaster. We haven't had to deploy many times, thankfully. That's a good thing. But the flooding this time down in the Vermilion Valley area down there was significant. But it wasn't just the flooding; it was all that ice that came through and just really tore through that area. So all our EMA folks were down there, and Tom does a great job. And he requested that folks from solid waste go down with them. There's a lot of debris, a lot of things that need to be collected. So under our contract with Republic and in the funding that we've set aside, the commissioners deemed it appropriate for us to deploy dumpsters down there so that all of that can be collected in a central point into the dumpsters and properly disposed of. So we're in the works for that, and I know the community is very grateful to you for that. I'll give you a report of how many dumpsters we use and the things that go on down there once we take stock of just how much debris is going to be needed to be moved.
Yeah, it was pretty
that area
every
floods
time you
down
saw
there.
the reports.
Yeah, that area floods down there, but they're used to it because they're right
right.
there. But not like this, not with that ice that backed up, and they had the ice coming upriver, as it pushed, and then of course once that subsided, then it started going the other way. I remember seeing those pictures on the internet along the lake where it was just moving and moving through backyards and just like building into a mountain of ice, and nobody was prepared to deal with that.
I remember when we deployed the dumpsters, this before I was on the board, previous board, when was it Sandy hit the area? Had a lot
The
of
rains from Hurricane Sandy came through.
Right.
Obviously, we didn't get the hurricane, but we certainly got a lot of water.
tropical storm at that point. Yeah.
And then, of course, the flooding areas, we deployed dumpsters then too. So it's
Yeah,
a
I
good
know folks
relationship.
were very appreciative of it when it hit that time. I know I've seen a lot of folks with stuff out on the lawns and trying to get rid of stuff over in Avon Lake at the time. But just want to congratulate our Community Development Department and Don for all the work on the Black River Summit. I thought it was a very successful summit, and it's amazing how things have changed along the Black River, and soon we're going to be in good graces with the EPA and everybody else. And there's a period of time where you had to tell people don't swim there, don't fish there, definitely don't eat the fish. Those days, thank goodness, we're putting behind us and moving forward and having a healthier lake. And but I thought it was really well done, well attended, and a very good event. So thank you, Don, to you and your team for that. The recovery court, as Lori pointed out, if you get the opportunity and you're watching this meeting and you'd like to come out and see one of these graduations, I think it would really make quite an impression on your head and your heart about how much of a struggle it is to overcome addiction. It is a lifetime struggle. You just don't all of a sudden flip a switch one day or make a choice. This is not a choice, it's a disease, and I'll keep saying that over and over again because it's a disease. And it needs to be treated as such. But I can't thank the judge and everyone enough for all their work in making the recovery court possible and turning around lives, getting people back to their families. It's just so great seeing people reunite with family, with their children. Lori pointed out the story of the father who was so distraught he contemplated suicide because he just was so upset about possibly losing his daughter. And it's very disruptive to the whole community. If it hasn't touched your family and you don't really care about the issue, may God continue to bless you, because it's very few families, very few neighbors and relatives that haven't been impacted by it.
And I think, Commissioner Lundy, if I could add, the word graduation, they've graduated, but the graduation isn't the end of the road.
Right.
It's just a threshold.
Right.
And I think that when you hear these folks, these individuals speak about the challenges they've had, you understand that this is just one threshold in a lifetime of struggle.
Yep.
Also had the opportunity to attend an event for Amanda Deary running for law director. I thought that was very well attended. Great turnout there. A very bright young lady with a very bright future ahead of her. Township Association meeting. They were talking a lot about the fuel tax. The governor looking for the 18 cents. I think the Senate is somewhere around 6 cents now. I don't know how in the world they're going to fill the $1.2 billion gap. I think they're going to come up with about $400 million or $500 million. Don't have to be a math whiz to know that still doesn't address the issue. So be ready for your roads, bridges, all those things not to be in the best of shape. So Sometimes the Senate makes political decisions instead of what's a responsible decision, but it's being worked out in conference committee, so those meetings will be quite interesting, I'm sure, as to how that ends up. Also, would encourage you to reach out to your members of Congress and the U.S. Senate as well, too, as the administration is trying to come after your health care, trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. I don't know about you folks. I think all of us know people with pre-existing conditions. You know, more than 52 million people are going to be impacted. If that changes, then good luck. I'm sure the insurance companies aren't going to be willing to help you out and do it in an affordable way without the Affordable Care Act. So for everyone with a pre-existing condition, be very much alarmed and concerned. Seniors, you could be paying more for your prescription drugs, especially if you rely on them heavily for some health conditions that you have. And obviously, the Medicaid expansion has been helping a great deal as we try to deal with the opioid and epidemic that's going throughout the county. But all those things are in danger should the administration continue to push for change on the Affordable Care Act. And finally, I guess I want to send out congratulations to the family of Eric Lauer of Elyria. For those of you who may not know Eric Lauer, he's a Major League Baseball pitcher from Elyria. He's a Midview graduate. I understand he attended the early college program at Lorain County Community College, also played baseball at Kent State University, was a first-round draft pick several years ago. But he is the opening day pitcher for the San Diego Padres on Thursday as they battle.
Cindy Kushner's daughter's husband?
I don't know.
I think so.
Really?
You all know Cindy Kushner out to college, the marketing director. That's her daughter's husband.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Nice, small world.
Yeah. Well, he's the opening day pitcher for the San Diego Padres tomorrow against the San Francisco Giants. So we wish Eric all the best. I don't know if the Padres are playing the Indians this year. We want him to perform well, but not too well if he plays the Indians. But we wish him all the best.
Just slightly less well than we do.
Yes.
Right, exactly. And that completes my report.
All right, so the other commissioners have highlighted some of the activities of this week. One of the takeaways that I had from the land bank meeting on Thursday was the enormous effect we're having on some of the neighborhoods. And Saturday was a nice day. So what I did was I was out chatting with a lot of Lorain residents, viewing some of the properties where we've taken structures down, as well as those that are slated for demolition. And they're really making an impact on those neighborhoods. And the folks are so appreciative of the fact that that blight is being removed, the danger, just what they pose to safety and healthy in those neighborhoods. I did see a few spots that I think I'm going to make a suggestion to the Lorain Quick Pick group, and I'll be happy to go out and help them, talking about balding tires. I think I found those. And especially there's one stretch along the railroad tracks just south of on Oberlin and 15th, where it just seems like it turned into a dumping ground. And if they could clear that area up with a group of volunteers and maybe some of the neighbors.
Oberlin Avenue and 15th?
And 15th, I think it is. The old Lorain Creamery's on the...
Yes, I know the area.
Okay, across the street.
There was a car wash there, but they converted that into something...
Over the tracks,
And
south side.
On the south, over the track, south side. The car wash was on the south side, across from the creamery.
Right.
Didn't the creamery turn into an auto repair facility? I wonder where those tires are coming from.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the west side. Oh. There you go.
I will. We'll talk more on this. I'll have our environmental crime unit take a look out there.
Okay.
And also, if it's not too bad, I can probably deploy some of our teams that we're getting ready to do all the lawn cutting and cleaning of the lots. I'll just have them go out there and pick up the tires. But first, I want to send out to have it
Somebody
photographed
check
and
it.
investigated. So I'll take care of that.
It is clearly railroad property. that I'm-
Regardless of the property,
Right.
First of all, let me suggest that the railroad is never going to come and clean those
Right.
tires.
That's why I made the
So
suggestion.
it always becomes a local issue. As you know, working with the railroads, we may get them to even discuss the issue with us in about 3 years.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. Those are the kind of observations we need. But first, I want to do the investigation before we touch anything, and then I'll try to get one of our crews out there to just load those tires up and bring them over to the collection center.
And I did get to see some of those properties that are slated to come down, and boy, they clearly need to. The Friday, I was at the Opioid Action Team conference at over at the hospital, and UH, and it was pretty well attended. I think that obvious challenges that we're facing right now just keep surfacing in most of the meetings and conferences that you go to, and I think the desire for some solutions are apparent, and I'm optimistic about our merging of the two boards, the mental health and the EDIS. We keep hearing over and over all the resources that are going to become available once that merge takes place, so we're excited for that. Friday evening, I was at a fundraiser for the Lorraine Arts Council, held over at Brew and Stew. Sunday, the Lorraine Historical Society had their annual spaghetti fundraiser, and I did my share of eating pasta. The Monday, I was at a presentation that the North Ridgeville Fire Department had at the library. They were talking about their upcoming levy, which is actually a renewal and a levy. It's tied together. So if it fails, there's actually a gap. It's not just a break even. But they were talking about, first of all, the opening of the new fire department's running a little behind, and they're running into delays with the same local provider issues that we've had with our telephone and technology provider. But they also discussed the idea that they need to maintain a full staff of 36 minimum EMT and fire professionals or responders. They're multi and dual certified. So all of the gentlemen, and he said they are still just all gentlemen there. He's encouraged women to apply, but they have yet to do so. But all of the gentlemen can fill either call. The problem they run into is because North Ridgeville is expanding so quickly, it's growing so rapidly, that there are times they have nobody back at the station, that they're all out on calls. And so this renewal and levy is going to help them to maintain a staff of 36. Optimal would have been 42 for them. But it seems to be something that's well in order there and going to be a necessary funding project for the North Ridgeville Fire Department. And that concludes my report for the week.
Before we go on, I just remembered, there's an app that I just signed up for. If you carry Narcan, you get on this app. It's called Naloxo Find, Naloxo Find. And if somebody is in need of Narcan, they will actually get a hold of you by this text, or by this app by text, and you can go to that site wherever they are and administer your Narcan while you're waiting for the ambulance or police to show up on site. So there's a small window of time before somebody either, goes brain dead because of they're not breathing, or death. So it just gives people an extra chance of getting somebody there quickly, maybe because you're a lot closer than any other first responder. So it's Naloxo Find, and you can just sign up for it in Apple App Store. So
if I can add one more thing on a lighter note, it is Restaurant Week. Lorraine County Restaurant Week. I know poor Mr. Cordes here has been trying to get this in the whole meeting. Anyway, what we've done, I've received a few calls from the public because they felt that we overlapped with the independent restaurant group, and we're right after Cuyahoga. And in speaking with Jen over at the Visit Lorraine County, what she said is, and I think we shared this when she launched it, we try to piggyback off of the buzz that Cuyahoga creates, Cleveland Restaurant Week. And what happens is she's made calls, we've checked websites. Independent really announces late. We think that they jump in at the end so that they are deliberately taking advantage of the buzz of both of our our week. So that's why there's a little bit of an overlap on the weeks, but it's now through Saturday. So go to the site, figure out which restaurants are on the tour, and get out there and frequent our restaurants for Restaurant Week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we don't have any charge for parking at our
That's
establishment,
right.
so.
And our fees are usually better. Our
The cost.
cost.
Yeah.
I too like to go downtown for Restaurant Week when they have it. Not so much since we have our own Restaurant Week. We were in our third year. We didn't have anything that was competitive in nature to what they were doing. The Cleveland Independents is really a nice group, to be honest with you. They've been working together quite a while, but they used to be separated from the Cuyahoga event by several months. Now all of a sudden everybody is starting to try to piggytail or at least hijack everybody else's. So we'll look at that next year. Quite frankly, there's pretty good offerings here in Lorraine County. I would hope that people stay here in Lorraine County. You have Black River. The Black River, I want to get it right because they have the Black River Cafe and they have the Black River. Excuse me, Bistro. Is that what it is? Tavern. So it's a little bit confusing.
Right.
You have Bistro 83. You have Parker's, to name a few. You have the Veranda, which is right on the border with Cuyahoga. It used to be the old Winking Lizard, for those that don't know. I was out there Saturday night. The Restaurant Week food was quite good. I'm at the Black River Tavern tonight, and I'm at Columbia Hills Country Club Saturday night to support Restaurant Week. And maybe I get hungry in between, I'll find something else. But spend your money here, support us. These are all local, so if we had an organization like they have had enough of them, that would be the Lorraine County Independents. But we need to support these things, or they're going to go away, and we're not going to see more of them here. I can remember when there was a lot more dining options in Lorraine County. It's just as recently as 10, 15 years ago than there are today. Now, there's a lot of casual eateries, franchise casual eateries, but I think that we deserve a little more than the standard
Chain food.
right standard food that TGI Fridays or any of those folks serve. So please get out, support, do what you can, and looking forward to the next event that's coming up, which I believe is our wings thing.
King of Wings.
King of Wings, is that what it is? So that'll be coming up here later in the spring, and we'll have an expansive presence on that too. Thanks for remembering, Commissioner.
Sure. One of the ladies who called me and inquired about it said that she went to one of the Lorraine County establishments, and she said that the food that was offered for the Restaurant Week, they ended up taking multiple to-go boxes home. It was an abundance of food. They said it was really quite a value.
It is I went with a handful of people, and only two didn't find something they wanted on the Restaurant Week. So we only count the restaurant meals served, but actually, usually the group is larger. Some folks are liking the selection, some aren't. That's personal taste. But we only count the actual meals served. We don't count the actual bodies that were brought into the facility from the Restaurant Week. Right. And I was thinking about that sitting there the other night. I have to come up with a solution to that, because out of a group of 6, when 4 had, 2 had other, everybody went for Restaurant Week together as a group. Yes. So we have to count those two butts in the seats for practical purposes as being supported by the food from Restaurant Week. So I don't know how we'll do that, but just have to talk to our folks and see. But I think we're having an impact.
We received an expedited one annexation of 94.5349 acres of land in the township of Carlisle to the village of Grafton. Documents have been forwarded to the engineer and auditor for review of accuracy, even though I don't have to. And this will be placed on next week's agenda for commissioner's decision.
We don't really have a choice.
You have no choice.
Is that one of those that?
It's expedited, we don't have a choice.
Yeah, boy. I don't even know why we have to.
Why do they even make us look at it then?
Well, it's the same way why you have to set the veterans budget, and you have no ability to do anything with that either.
Okay.
Board correspondence.
I would make the motion that we waive the reading of the board correspondence.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Okay, well, remember everyone, there is cake to celebrate Emmy's retirement in the back of the room, so make sure you have some cake. And seeing no other business at this time, I would move that we go into executive session for the reasons stated by the Assistant County Prosecutor and by the County Administrator.
I'll second.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Why am I saying aye?
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorraine County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.